Just hanging out here for a moment. I can feel parts of me relaxing and letting go. And then here we go with our rocking motion, so sinking into the right, stepping out to the left, and coming back and revisiting that whole movement of the rocking motion. You can see how this has got just a hint of the joyous breath in it, except in a much softer way, but that's still rising onto the balls of your feet, coming back down. So there's always these little memories of other movements that all start to help inform and deepen each other. Finding that sense of heavy air. And you may find that now, after doing that very strong engagement with joyous breath, that you actually can feel that sense of heavy air with this lighter engagement a little bit more, that you've been sensitized a bit more. And here comes number 8, letting that Dan Chen carry you. And as we come back to number 9, sinking into that right foot and up and in. Great. And now we'll do bird flaps its wings here. Hands come in and grab that nerve ball of energy and then release it, flicking it out. And release it. And the third time you come around and around. And here we go a second time, gathering that energy and releasing it. Down onto the balls of your feet, slight lift with your heels, and around, around, and in. Twice, and one last time, flicking out and around, and then you draw in and up above your waist and down into the graceful conclusion. Just let what's awakening, just give a chance to move down and connect to the earth. And then we go into our first platter. Stepping forward and both hands up and forward around your forward foot, back over your back foot. So there's two very important pieces here as we start into the platters. First of all, because it's our first forward stepping movement, to just reacquaint yourself with the feel of moving across the weight transfer in your feet, what Justin Stone called yinning and yanging, where one becomes stronger, more supportive as you go forward, and then the back foot more supportive. And then the second one is really getting that feel that's particular to this movement of going through the heels of your hands. Forward and back, and then one more time through, just leading with your Dan Chen, and back, flattening your lower back as your foot draws in. And then coming to the second side, so right foot comes forward. And I'm just going to add in something. You'll see different teachers who have had different experiences. Like, so Amy Tiksinski, who used to practice with Justin Stone, says that what they used to do in their practices was do just a little bit of a wind up. So if you're going to go forward over your right foot, that she says what they would do is they would just reverse the circle just a little bit, so sort of head toward the left shoulders just a micro bit, and then release into the movement. So you can play with that. It's not all teachers are going to repeat that. It's not something which got put into the lexicon. She describes it as something which is silently taught in Justin Stone's videos. But because it's a minor adjustment, you may find that that's something that just works for you nicely to kind of get the feel of getting the energy starting. Or you may just want to start from that still place of your hands just coming up to the center. And each variation can inform the other. And just feeling the difference as you come forward and then releasing, something that we're going to pick up in a moment with the platter variation, but already has a sense of gathering the charge, releasing, and then coming back. And we'll go around one more time. Releasing, drawing back, flattening in your lower back as your foot comes up and in. And waiting for the sinking. Okay, and then we'll go the second time through with the platter on the variation this time. Foot comes forward, and then gathering that Nerf ball and back. So now you really have a little bit of an extra sense of charge gathering that goes with this circular movement. And releasing, letting the fingers trail back. And then just really coming back down to the lower body, feeling how the dantian and the feet really support each other as you go backward and forward. We'll do two more. Let's try that with the second side. So here I come with my right foot forward in mirror position. And then just really start to look at where your movement can start to deepen, to really sort of feel to yourself, how am I here in this moment? Where can I be called more fully into my tissues? Sometimes we can fall into a rote or habituated way of doing these movements because something new was starting to emerge, and our minds can often just bounce off those awakening sensory fields. And so those are often the moments when your mind starts to wander, where you can actually come back and go, so what's calling me here? What was I just bouncing off of? And you'll often find something is a bit of a portal of dropping in. We'll come around one more time and back. And so they really become moments of opportunity to start to deepen into your practice. Those moments when you start to find your mind starting to wander, or your movements start to become a little habituated, a little mechanical. All right, so now it's bass drum. So hands come flatter towards each other and down through the center, and really start to get the feel of what the bass drum brings us, of this sense of the centering energy within us. And as your hands come forward, they just come in front of your pelvis, so that it really gives a chance for the wrists to turn and let your fingers point more down, rather than your forearms to drop down toward the ground. It really lets the movement be more in the wrists. Forward. We'll do two more. So here's forward and back, and one more time forward and back. Great. And then the second time, right foot forward and forward. Just really explore feeling that charge build up between the more flattened hands, the way in which this movement starts to awaken that central organization of yourself in the pelvis up through the neck. We'll do two more. And one more time forward, really letting yourself have this moment and stepping back. Nice. So now we come to the daughters, so your hands kind of fall open, down by your pelvis. You step forward, and the left hand on the inside as we draw in and down, opening, gathering. So now we're taking that centering effect that started with the bass drum and really starting to get a feel for how it organizes us as we draw the energy in toward the center and bring it down and then releasing it. Just letting these hands feel connected to the heavy air. And one more time, forward. And drawing down, opening, and back. Great. And then the second side, opening, stepping forward. Left hand stays closer to your chest and drawing forward. And you can see how this whole hand movement has got this real continual movement and circularity to it. It's like this never-ending drawing through, gathering and releasing. Forward and gathering, back and releasing. It becomes like this wave kind of gathering and peaking and then washing and drawing back from the shore. Come around one more time. And back. Great. And then we'll go into the daughter in the valley. So left foot comes forward. And this time we gather down and then draw up through the center. So this has got a little bit more of like a flattened, like two Ds put back to back as you come up through the center and then release. But that release as it comes up is almost like a fountain that just releases up from your hands and out So that you just get that sense of drawing the energy up from the earth and then just letting it release out into the world. And once you got the feel of that, come back round and find out, so what does it ask of me in my Dan Chen, in my movement through my pelvis to support this? We'll come around one more time. Forward, up, and release, and coming back. And then the second side. Down as you gather the energy. Draw it up and release. And just checking with your breath every once in a while. Breathing doesn't have to do anything special, but it should kind of be there for you. How does your breath want to contribute to the inhabiting of yourself a little bit more? What's it like for it to feel all this sensory awakening and to just gently be there with what's there? So that wave-like gathering and releasing and receding, that ebb and flow, is reflected in the sense of connection to your breath as well. We'll come around one more time, releasing, and here we come forward. Really letting yourself have this one last time, and as you open and release, coming back and down to your graceful resting position. Now we're going to carry the ball to the side. So I'm just going to step just a little bit off so I don't crowd my credenza there. And sink and wind up to the right, foot out, and then across once with that back hand, that right hand just being a little bit more substantial. And here we come around with the third time. And so that right foot's going to come in as you come across. And you might be starting to get the feel of how as you wind up here and this left foot comes up, it comes down more with the heel. So there's a little bit of a sense of the toe lift that helps you kind of lift that foot and carry it across. And you'll get the same thing as we draw this right foot in. So as I come across here, it comes up and in. The toe can come up first and then coming in. Brief pause. Wind up, step off to the left. And the third time through, and stepping in. Slight pause, now we're going to go back. Winding up to the left, step off to the right. Very gently. So if there's ever any place where you start to feel that there's any restrictions, just let your movement just gently massage into them, stepping in. So that part of what you're doing very essentially with this is discovering the places where there's been a breakdown in relationship in your inner community, the places that have been stuck and glitchy. Here we come across a third time. And just starting to shift the relationship. And out of that, here we go again, wind up to the left. Out of that shift of relationship, out of that comes a letting down of tensions and pains. They start to be in conversation with each other. And around, so just gentle, and in we come. and resting position. Good. And then I'll just come across to the center again. And we'll come into our push-pull, sinking, hands coming up, foot comes forward, and out and back. And here again, the sense of the wave can be really useful here, because that sinking in the middle of your push forward is as if you were kind of sinking and gathering an energy in front of you, or water in front of you, and then making that wave as your hands come up slightly at the end, so that you're kind of letting it push or draw away from your hands at the end, as if it was kind of peaking into the crest of a wave, and then just drawing back in a bit of a rise and fall with your hands. And all the while just learning more about how you can not overextend yourself by starting to turn with your hands before you get to the end of that push, and turning with your hands before you get the end of the pull, so that there's a real circularity even to this movement, which has quite a forward and backness to it. And we'll come around one more time, getting that wave out, letting it roll away from you, and then coming back and resting position. There's the sink and right foot. Out. And of course, the hand that's coming out over your back foot, which in this case is the left foot, therefore the left hand has got a little bit more substance to it. Yeah, just dropping into the rhythm. And then just letting that Dan Chen carry you forward through here, so that this big emphasis that happens on the hands doesn't end up dominating the movement. And we'll do two more. Wave rolling away from you, and one more time coming forward. And back. And now, drawing in the energy. So palms toward the ceiling, and then just feeling through those fingertips as you drop into this circularity. Yeah. And just really getting that sense of the slight pressure through your fingertips, and then that pulling in energy from the farthest star. Kind of gentle connection as you come back. Come around one more time. And as you come back, stepping back. And sinking. Okay, now we come with the right foot. So we go forward over the right foot and back over the left. So this is quite an opposite from the push-pull, because now that sense of moving from the Dan Chen can really come to the fore. So you've got this very important connection through the tips of your fingers, which can really draw a lot of focus because it's so light, and coming back and feeling how your center moves with this. And the more you bring that Danchen awareness into it, the more you'll find it awakens the arching and flattening of your lower back as you go forward and back, which becomes a really important part of maintaining the sense of core integrity. We'll come around one more time, so drawing back, and then coming forward, and back, and foot in, and resting position. Good. So now we come to the toffees. So let's just start into that. So we're going to wind up to the right, but now your hand comes underneath, step off to the left, drawing and anchoring with that right hand as your left hand comes out, and then coming up and in, and just sinking into it, and then immediately going into sweeping across to the left, stepping out to the right, anchoring with that left hand and drawing in. Sinking into the right, stepping off to the left. And really noticing how if you lift with your toe as your foot comes in, it makes it so much easier to connect with that flattening of your lower back and just feeling the movement of a foot that just wants to float in, has less and less effort to it. We'll go through one more time. Cross, feeling that taffy, staticky connection between your forearms, and sinking across to the left and stepping out to the right. One last time. And then your anchor taffy. So now we wind up to the right again, but this time we're going to step forward. Then your toe falls in and around and stepping back. And then winding up to the right again, stepping straight sideways. And drawing in. Winding up to the left and stepping forward, your toe falls in. And winding up to the left and stepping sideways with your right foot. Winding up to the right, stepping forward with your left. And as you go forward, keeping your heel anchored on the back foot. Winding up and stepping sideways to the left. And winding up to the left. Stepping forward. Just starting to get the feel of the whole sense of yourself moving through space. So that as you got more familiar with how the movements actually work, stepping forward, you start to feel how they work on you and how you inhabit them more, rather than making them. How they become a way of moving through the world. And one last time, stepping across to the right. Good. And then wrist circles taffy. So sinking and up onto the balls of the feet. Twice onto the balls of the feet. Then staying down, winding up and off to the left. Slight pause, sinking again. So these are very gentle wrist circle that really is kind of encouraging your pelvis to come up and then staying down. So it's really got quite the opposites in it. This kind of almost a launching of a bird and then coming down and moving across. And here we go a second time. And then staying down and across. Sinking. And then staying down. And across. So just one more time. Sinking. Really feeling that whole lift. The heels lifting last and then staying down. And really feeling how you can gradually sink deeper into this. Down. So that you're really dropping into the depths of the movement as you kind of feel yourself lower and inhabit that lower space more. There we go. And then finally, the perpetual motion tuffy. So winding up again, stepping out, and across we come. Really feeling the intentionality of each of the previous tuffis really informing this movement. The lifting of the left foot by starting with the toe, lifting of the right foot, and the sense of doing a bit more of a understanding of how anchoring, even as brief it is with that back hand out of the other movements that have spent more time with it, so that it doesn't become just a brief truncated gesture at the back, but really does something for you as you come out of the anchor and your back foot kind of comes with it. Nice. We'll come across one more time. And back. And close. I'm going to come forward just a little bit so I have room to let my hands go backward, because we're going to work the pulley. So here we go, sinking, right palm up, left palm forward, and so this has got all the features of any of our other forward stepping movements, with the lifting of the heel and the lifting of the toe, except that there's that extra bit of rotation in the pelvis. So there's a bit of a turning on the ball of the foot, a bit of turning on the heel that allows you to drop into the movement a little bit more. And your head is inevitably going to turn a certain amount with the rotating torso, and just kind of let it kind of follow how it wants to go this particular time. And then once again, really get the feel of what it's like to drop into this movement. Like, how is it as a place to be? How am I in this moment as I inhabit this movement more fully? How does it move and support me being in space? And we'll come through one more time. Forward through the Danchen, back through the Danchen, waiting with that right hand, and closing. There. And then with the right foot. So left hand comes up. Whoops. Let's try that again. So with the right foot. So right hand comes up, left hand recedes. forward and back. And once again, really letting the circularity of the motion at the end of your arm strokes make the movement just a little bit shorter than you might expect, so that you're not overreaching either direction. You maintain that sense of roundness through those pulleys. And let the movement work on you, especially on the pelvis and the spine, with that slight increase of twist. And we'll come around one more time. Here we come back. Now we're going to go forward. And back. Good. And now we'll do the two lights. So here we go, sinking, hands coming up above the temple, right at the top of the head. Out, flick. Feeling it come right from the Dan Chan, flick. Third time, lifting, flick. Coming in and turning. There's a very smooth transition from that coming in to starting to turn. You want to make sure your hands are positioned, but you don't stop. And then you come to a pause here. Just feel, what have I stirred up here? What's starting to gather to my awareness? I just sit in this sunk spot. And then you sink a little bit and up on the balls of your feet. However much your heels feel comfortable lifting in this particular moment. And then the third time, out and around, down, flat foot, sinking, gathering. Left hand is cupped in the right, up to your chest. Then down to that slight pause. And here we go, sinking again. Now we come up to the temples. Your feet stay flat for this part. Then you go down and up onto the balls of your feet, flicking out, gathering, gathering, release, gathering, gathering, up and release, and come in and circle, and just really feel like, what am I stirring up here? What am I awakening? How does that affect me in my hands, in my head? And then pause and really give a chance in the stillness to really receive that. Go to the yin activation place. And then sinking again, up and out, flick, gathering, drawing out, up and out, flick into the world. And the third time, up and out, 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 opening space, deep down, cupping that left hand up in front of your chest, and graceful resting position. Good. And now we come to our new ones. So the first one is this joyous breath. So now we're going to do a similar kind of thing, but much stronger. So here we go. Sinking, stepping out, gathering. Back of the throat, up on the balls of the feet. 4 times down. And around. And gentle around. Last time. And coming in. And resting position. Now, let's take all that charge build up and we'll take it into passing clouds. So, this hand comes up in preparation for Coming across as your sweeping hand, you step out to the right this time. Sweep across. Now the bottom hand, which starts by your pelvis, comes across. Just letting that back leg straighten out somewhat so that it really helps push your pelvis into the twist. I'm just going to slow it down a little bit more. This engagement through your legs this way is such an incredible, gentle opening of the knees. If you have meniscus issues or anything that makes your knees feel glitchy, then once again, don't push it, just let the movement gently massage into it. And here we come across one last time. And back, sweeping, coming up, and closing. And then finally, to our cosmic consciousness pose, left foot up, left hand on the inside, and then just starting from the foundation. So many times we've been starting by sinking into this right leg, and so once again, it becomes the place of connection, the center place, like if you were doing a tree pose. And then the left foot is connected but supporting it, so it's a real sort of yin-yang kind of connection between these two legs. And then notice how it connects up into your pelvis, how your pelvis makes sense out of that, and how your spine organizes above that, all the way up through into the back of your head, so that by the time you come to experimenting with just letting your chin drop a little bit, so your gaze comes down at an angle through these slightly spread fingers, you've got some sense of a foundation that you've built from the bottom up, and then bringing your inner awareness down into that Danchen area. So now you're coming back down through your body, but more through the center now, and then feeling how that organizes you all the way back down into the core, so that you really got a whole sense of yourself. And then just coming to a graceful resting position for a moment, and then just transitioning into letting yourself open a bit into gratitude, the inner part of you that's opened, connecting to the outer world that so much needs us to feel more connected to it, more in sync with it, more able to listen to what's required of us in this moment. And I will leave you there with that for this week. It's always my pleasure to join with you on this. Thank you so much.